Welcome to Buckets, brought to you by BetMGM, the king of sportsbooks. My name's Matt Moore. I'm the senior NBA writer for the Action Network, joined by Michael Fiddle. You can find him on Twitter and in the Action Network app at Fiddle's Picks. You can also check out his Substack as well as the Advantage Sports Betting Podcast. He's got lots of stuff going on, so check him out at Fiddle's Picks. This is your Best Bets episode for Monday, Memorial Day, May 27th, in the NBA playoffs as the Boston Celtics look to advance to the NBA Finals for the first time since, 2 years ago. It's been a whole 2 years since they made the Finals. As they face the Indiana Pacers in a closeout sweep opportunity in Game 4 of the Eastern Conference Finals. We'll give you best bets. We'll break it down. We'll talk about all these type of things that there are to talk about. Everything we talk about can be found in the award-winning Action Network app, where you can find all sorts of cool stuff, including where the bets and money are coming in, so you can get a sense of where the sharp moves are coming in if you get the pro subscription, as well as you can find all sorts of great stuff over at youtube.com/The Action Network. Live shows throughout the NBA Finals. Should be a really good time. We'll have more on that later. We are going to do Buckets Live Monday and Tuesday. By the way, Michael, I need you to let me know if you want to do either of those nights. We're going to do Buckets Live Monday or Tuesday night after the games. If they're closeouts, we will talk about title chances and finals MVP. And if they are not, obviously we'll look ahead to Game 5 of the series. All right, Fiddle, let's do this thing. What's your best bet for Monday as the Boston Celtics take on the Indiana Pacers? 7.5-point favorites at BetMGM, total 222.5. Do you have a best bet for tomorrow?
I do, Matt. We've had a lot of sharp conversations here, and I'm going to give you something pretty simple. Celtics money line minus 300.
I thought you were going to do that. I will lay the points. I will go ahead and lay it minus 7.5. I will say that I've been I haven't done it. I haven't put it in the app as much as I needed to, but I've been betting the money line on Celtics games, just being I just think they're going to win. I'll probably do that in the NBA Finals as well. My bets are going to be the under, and I'm going to take Celtics minus 7.5. And that's what we're going to do. So what we're really talking about here is just we're talking money line versus spread. So let's go ahead and break this down. I will go ahead and give the numbers on this. In the playoffs, when the team is up 3-0 and they are a road favorite in Game 4. 42-19 straight up at 69%. Nice. And they are 54% ATS as well, 32, 27, and 2. The under is 30, 28, and 3. As well as if you have 3 wins in a series and you are favored on the road in a closeout spot past round 1. So we get rid of all of the sluff. We just take all of that first round nonsense and we throw that out the window. It is still 29-14 at 67%, 21-20-2 at 51%. That's not profitable ATS. And the under is 24-18-1. Now, I will say in our pros tools, here's where the money and bets are coming in so far as we are about a day into betting with a day to go as we're recording this on Sunday night. 78% of the tickets are on the Pacers. 77% of the money are on the Pacers. We're not tracking any sharp action so far in our signals. So Pacers taking money, even though this opened at 7 and has gone to 7.5, where that kind of indicates somewhere along the line, someone put in a bet that probably moved this line a little bit the other direction. More from if I'm going to move this beyond the trends, I gave you all the numbers, yada, yada, yada. Here's the number that I actually think matters. Oh, by the way, one more. If you are in the conference finals and you are up 3-0 and you have a chance to sweep, those teams are 8-4 straight up at 67%. They are 7-5 ATS, so one game here and it goes to 6-6, but still 58%. And the over is 7-5, so a little bit of a trend back the other way in conference finals. Anecdotally, I'll just say this. I've been covering the league for 14 years, and I've covered a lot of playoff series. When the team goes down 3-0, they know it. They know it, and it's etched on their faces, and they know it. Nothing, no amount of rah, we can do this gets past that. No one's ever done it. No one's ever done it. Period and end point. Like, no one's ever won a series down 3-0. And the players know that. And after you lose that third one, something breaks in you. You just don't have the will to kind of keep fighting. So I do think that the money line is probably a smart play. Walk me through the thinking and the number on why you want this versus taking the points.
So it's honestly just a pretty simple, just very straightforward concept that the Celtics don't always press on the gas with a sense of urgency in some of these games. We saw them go down 12 at halftime. We saw them come out of the gates slow in game one, kind of almost fumble it at the end, but pull it out. They are by far the better team. If they show up with a sense of urgency, they will cover. They will win outright. They will cover the spread. It shouldn't be a big deal. I just want to take that kind of impetus off of the Celtics playing into desperation for the Pacers. Matt, you're giving all of these great stats. We're also 0-3, losing your best player and being the team that doesn't even have home court advantage, right? It's like we could look to maybe the Wolves having home court advantage and a healthy team and an out Derek Lively. And can they pull something together to tell themselves they have a chance to be the first team to do it? Probably not. But for the Celtics scenario, they should just dog walk this team in the Pacers. Rick Carlisle, you always use the term, has them playing like goldfish. He actually even speaks like that in his press conference. He speaks to wanting to get over something, being able to fight back after being punched in the mouth, bringing energy regardless, fighting to the end. So I do think we're going to see that from the Pacers. So that's why I just wanted to play the money line. And Matt, when I do that, when I just play a minus 300 at BetMGM, I only play it for 1 unit. I don't play 3 units and jack up my risk to match a reward that I would on a spread. I'm simply just reducing my reward and keeping my risk the same.
Okay, so I hear you. Let's look at this. Road favorites. Road favorites up with 3 wins, so a chance to close out, chance to win the series. Road favorites when they win in the conference finals. So I said 7-4. They're 8-4. They are 7-1 ATS in those 8 wins.
Dominic, can I ask you a question about those stats, Matt?
Yeah.
When you're using something like 8-4 or even some of the bigger sample sizes that we get, and you're correlating that with, okay, that's a 67% win rate. In your head, are you pricing in what's the implied probability of the money line? Like, as I'm playing a minus 300, I'm playing into 75%, right? So right. I'm 99% of the time play the spread over the money line, lay the points, play the number closer to plus or minus 100, pay less vig, go for it. This is a rare situation on the road with desperation that I'm like, oh, and it's moved from 7 to 7.5, maybe even to 8, coming back to 7.5 now. With those being key numbers, I'm like, I'm just going to throw it away and take the money line and not worry about all the semantics here. But when you give those stats, are you like, man, well, maybe the money line doesn't have value because the money line's asking me for 75% when all of these data sets say high 60s?
So I will say this, that usually on these, I don't have time to be able to go through and run the implied versus the money line. So I do think that there's like, if you find an opportunity where you're like, oh, hey, like you should run, like we have calculators at actionnetwork.com. Like you should run it through and be like, oh, hey, the implied on this is this. I think it's more like this. I'm going to discount here. Also, you can also convert on our website from spread to money line. So you can be able to see like what the price should be and how much you're getting. I don't know that it's meaningful enough to me to be able to get past the differential between you're at 290, you said?
Yeah.
The 290 and the 110. Based off of the trends that we've seen, like the Matt Mitchell rule, essentially in this kind of spot, I don't disagree with your logic, right? Like I don't disagree with it, like, because I do think that there's something probably to be said for that, which is, hey, if you're dealing specifically with a team like Boston, like this is really the question. You're dealing with a team like Boston, who were all kind of like, yeah, no, you're really good. You're probably going to win the title, but like none of us are really all that impressed with you. Like that just is how it is. Like I don't know what to tell you. Like that's how it is. Like Boston fans can kick and scream about it. We're just not going to be impressed. And that's how it is. Like, we're just not going to have an impressive NBA champion this year. Like, that's just not what we're going to have. And that's okay. because guess what? The banner is going to hang the same regardless for the Mavericks or the Celtics. But the Celtics tend to have this problem with covering. So like, I understand the idea of just being like, I don't want to sweat this fourth quarter when they're up 8. I don't want to sweat it. I don't want to worry about it if they're up 10 and worried about a backdoor 3-pointer from Andrew Nembhard.
Precisely.
Right?
Like, what this is the rare moment where Mike Fiddle is playing more of a narrative opinion on his cap, right? I'm normally always take the emotion out of it. What's the sharp thing? What's the market direction? X, Y, Z. This is the play. It's unemotional. There it is. Here's the one time where I'm like, okay, I understand it's moved past key numbers. It is in the same market direction, but I'm just going to take the insurance that I don't normally do and play a money line.
That's it. I'm going to give you one more. Teams just in a opportunity to sweep. So all rounds, including first round, up 3-0, road favorite with a chance to sweep. When they win those games, they are 32-8-2 ATS. That's 80%. Now, the average line, these are the numbers I don't say as much, and like I've decided I need to start mentioning them more. The average line in those games is 6. So we're already in a heightened spot here of favorites, right? Where it's more points that they have to cover. However, my counter to that would be, we actually see this trend historically where the bigger the favorite, the better they do. Where it's like, it's more likely. It's once you start getting into like, oh no, like they're basically just home court advantage. That's when these things get a lot more wonky with the spread, actually, which doesn't make a lot of intuitive sense, because you'd be like, oh, fewer points, it's easier for them to cover. Not actually necessarily true. So that I think is kind of interesting. Here's another thing. When they're favored by more than 5.5 points, the line is, when they're favored by more than 5.5 points, the average line jumps to 8.8. Okay. So that's above where we're at for this game 7 or game 4. Like, you're in a spot where, hey, if you're favored more than 2 possessions, you're actually usually favored by 8. And the here's another one. The ATS margin in those spots is 4.95. So they cover these games by 5 points per, which is a really good ATS margin.
And it's important to use these because you might like bring in, oh, the Celtics are playing against no Halliburton, and this is like the easiest matchup and all these things. We're getting examples that it's weighted for the matchup pretty much around the same point, if not even less so on this Celtics case, because this is the Celtics team that's been the longest odds and the hardest way to back them all season. Well, now they're actually right in the same family of all the other things that you're talking about.
So, all that said, I think that playing the 290, and I will say this, that this, I think, has been at playoffs where I think that, Brandon Anderson's been doing this, right? Where he's just like, I'm taking Celtics minus 1.5. I don't care. Like, I'll pay whatever the number is, 390, 490. I don't care. They're going to win in less than 6 games. Like, or win less than 7. They're going to win in less than 7 games. Doesn't have to, and he hasn't had to sweat at all. And I think that's a really good approach because, as an example, I pulled the trigger finally on when it was 0-2. I went ahead and pulled the trigger on, I'm going to put a little bit on Pacers plus 2.5. And then Halliburton gets hurt in game 3. Like, that's the other thing I would tell you is like, we'll see what happens. I'm open to being wrong. I've started hinting about this on Twitter just as like a heads up. And if you want to fade, that's fine. But like, I'm going to be all over the Boston Celtics in the finals matchup. Like, I'm just going to go ahead and let you know ahead of time. And like, I've given this out. I've written about this. I've given this out on the show, all of these things. The Boston Celtics are minus 225 right now. That is still a huge discount compared to what you're going to get when this actually becomes the matchup of the Mavericks versus the Celtics. Even if the Mavericks sweeping the Wolves moves their power rating in a significant range, this is still going to be at least 240 to 250, if not 260. Like, it was 280 in the look ahead at one book. And I wrote about that this week. That the look ahead line for Celtics versus Mavericks was minus 280. And as of yesterday, they were minus 200. So like, this is only going to move Boston's direction. 225 at BetMGM, you're still getting a price discount versus what you will pay when it is Celtics Mavericks. Like, I was willing to just be like, guys, they're not coming back from 0-2. Like, I put the stat out there that teams that had lost the first 2 at home, like the Wolves did, are 0-16. They don't come back. They just don't.
Yep.
And like, I was willing to be wrong. If the Wolves had come back and gotten into the finals versus Boston, where I then would have lost value because Boston would be a lower favorite than the number that I got, then, well, they wouldn't have been better than minus 200. But like, it still would have been like I would have lost a little bit implied with the certainty. I still would have probably bet Wolves, but they're not going to win. So like, what the matchup's going to be. We know it's going to be Celtics versus Mavericks, and you're getting minus 225 at BetMGM, which to me, that is not the correct price for what this probably should be. So I feel like my actual best bet is I recommend betting the Boston Celtics to win the NBA title. That would be my actual best bet.
What Matt just said to all the listeners is spot on. It's very sharp, and I'm going to set a calendar reminder to Matt to remind him to play Celtics minus 1.5 when that comes, because he should. He should join Brandon, because I'll probably be on that too.
I mean, I'll just tell you, like, this is probably too much just because Luka and Kyrie can probably get it done, and the Mavericks, the Celtics probably will screw around more than they have versus these teams that haven't been banged up. Although, look, I'll just say this right now. We just got done watching this game between the Mavericks and the Wolves, and Gafford was great down the stretch, but Derek Lively has been a huge positive, and Gafford's been a huge negative basically the last 2 rounds, and Lively's hurt. And if he's out, oh God, because that means Dwight Powell in the finals.
Yeah, we'll see. They diagnosed it a neck sprain at halftime. I think obviously we're going to hear some concussion evaluation and how long that protocol takes. I would expect Gafford. Listen, it's May 26th as we're recording this, Matt. I don't think, even if both series are a sweep, the final starts June 6th no matter what, correct?
Yes, they are absolutely not going to play until June 6th.
So KP, and I heard Shams on an interview last week, stopped short of saying definitely for Porzingis being back for the finals. He was like, I don't think he's going to be back for the conference finals, but and then stopped himself and was like a second short of saying definitely back, which I thought was an indicator from Shams that KP is going to be playing. And then on the Lively side, assuming it is a concussion and all that we've learned from football, he likely, pun intended, will play in 10 days. Knock on wood.
Yeah, probably going to play. We'll dive into the matchups. I don't want to get into all the matchup stuff right now. I'll just tell you that, like, basically the Mavericks are like, haha, we'll cut off the rim. And the Celtics are like, we don't even see the rim. We just shoot jumpers. And maybe they'll just miss all of them. But I'm going to bet the Celtics anyway. I'll keep betting the Celtics. I will also bet them here. Again, Indiana, I think, is a better team than probably that they will get credit for in retrospect. They'll be like that fake final. And they definitely were the fake conference finals run team, like the Hawks, like the Mavericks 2 years ago. Like, there's probably going to be regression next year just because it's unlikely the Pacers will do enough to improve over the summer. That said, like, I think they're a pretty tough team. I simply do not believe that the Indiana Pacers will be able to get themselves together enough to fend off the Celtics. And look, I think the Celtics have honestly, like, they have screwed around twice in this series. They should have lost game 1. They should have lost game 3. This should be 2-1 Pacers right now.
Yep.
Flat, like, period and dot. But guess what? It's not. Just like when, like, Wolves fans were like, we could have won both games 1 and 2. I'm like, yeah, but you didn't. Like, this is the problem.
Same with Lakers versus Nuggets. Same with 76ers versus Knicks. There's a lot of them.
When you don't win the coin flip games, you're dead. And I think the Pacers are dead. All right, that's going to do it for Buckets. Thanks for joining us. Tomorrow we will have these covered on Best Bets. For Game 4 of the Western Conference Finals, we might have 2 sweeps and 9 days off for... I don't know what we're going to do on this channel.
Action staff goes to Cancun.
We will figure out some way to fill in the time with Buckets. We'll have all sorts of props angles for the finals. Thanks to Michael Fiddle. You can catch him at Fiddle's Picks. My thanks to David Payne, our producers, for getting this up on YouTube, as well as Hutton Jackson and the crew getting this up over there. We'll see you guys again next time. Till then, let's get buckets.